Hi, video gamers. We have successfully completed our journey in I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream after a total of 8.7 hours, with the least rare achievement in this game being a solid 6.4%, which I guess means a lot of people own this game and very, very few people play it, which probably makes sense. I imagine it's probably been in a lot of like packages and stuff, whatever. I can imagine this being one of those like bundle games that you get. One second, I'm just trying to lower the volume a little bit more. It's over, yeah. Bundles, what the heck? I can imagine it's been one of those games you get in a lot of bundles. That's probably why a lot of people played it. But a lot of people have bought it, or own it, but they haven't played it. A lot of players have this game because they played it back in the day and bought it for nostalgia without finishing it. Well, it's not that they haven't finished it; it's that they haven't even launched it, because the achievements are just click on the character, meaning that 94% of players have not even clicked on a character in the game, meaning they haven't gotten part of the intro part of the game. So, spinny time. We're gonna eat food, then we're gonna spinny. We're gonna eat breakfast. Honestly, there's not a lot to say about this game. This is gonna be a pretty brief review where I probably say what I assume most people where I say what I feel like probably most people feel about this game. You know, we have to differentiate when we play like a retro game. We have to differentiate between, like, you know, playing this back then and playing that now, right? Like, obviously there is a difference there, and like a game, this game could have been really good when it came out, just because it might have done stuff you hadn't seen before. Maybe it arguably does stuff that wasn't very traditional at the time. I don't really know. I don't have enough knowledge of games of this genre for that, but there's some stuff this game does that I don't imagine. Like, I don't remember being very standard, right? Like, one, it has an interesting failure loop where when you fail, it takes you back to kind of like the character select menu. It's kind of like a part of the game. Two, every path you take, I guess, has an optimal ending, meaning that there's actually a reason to try to play through them multiple times to get the best possible outcome for each character in those endings. And three, some of them have actual choices you're making that can, like, permanently lock you out of even finishing them. So, you know, those are three things that I don't think were very traditional at the time, but they're interesting at least. Yeah, obviously we'll differentiate between, like, you know, my score is not if I had played, like, if I played this when I was like 8 years old, maybe I'd be like, what the, this is like, what the hell, this is the craziest narrative ever, you know. But unfortunately, I'm not 8 years old right now, so I'm reviewing this as if it was a modern game. That's pretty much where we're at. Obviously, I'm taking account for the fact that it is an old game, but I think that this game has it has like an interesting setting that that has some merit to it, of course, and it has a
Hi there, mister.
What's up? What's up, Jenna? Hello. Took me a second to read your name because of the G's. How are you doing? Are you still playing Rust? The author of the story worked closely in making the game. He has also voice of Alm. Oh, that's awesome. Want to make a game to be unwinnable, Ellison author insists that. I created it so you could not win it. The way in which you could win was to not play it nobly. The more nobly you play it, the closer you would come, but you could not actually beat it, and that annoyed the hell out of me. Yeah. And hey, you know, I think arguably a very frustrating game for a lot of reasons, but I can appreciate that, right? That's awesome. That's great, right? I think we can definitely, first of all, for the time, we can appreciate that this game was probably very different than other games at the time, and if the goal was to annoy people, I was annoyed. So hey, I guess mission successful. But then again, I don't think annoying me is gonna benefit me reviewing the game. But that's awesome. That's a really good piece of lore that kind of frames the game, right? Because some of my complaints, I think I think the game has two problems in that regard. And maybe these were intentional. I would say they probably weren't. But I think I think a big problem the game has is just with the general gameplay being a little bit nonsensical. I wouldn't call it moon logic. Maybe you'd call it like play it first, force swipe, pad over air brake. Oh, nice. Maybe we wouldn't call it moon logic, but maybe you'd call it like author logic or something, where it's like this makes sense, but it probably only makes sense to the author unless someone explains it to you. So by that I mean that like there are a couple of frustrations with the game that I think are not intentional designs, but rather just frustrating elements of older games or poor game design. One is... I wish Bell was barking. One is the game requiring you to go back to things you've already interacted with and interact with them again, despite not really telling you that, or the objects changing, right? So you might have to go and let's use Benny as an example. Benny has a lot of good examples here, but this happens with a lot of the characters. With Benny, you start a game and you go interact with the graves, and they do nothing. You can't interact with them. I didn't try to talk to them. Maybe you can't talk to them, but whatever. The point is, you interact with the graves, nothing happens. And it doesn't necessarily make sense to try to talk to the graves either, right? If that's the point. So try to close my door a little bit. So you interact with the graves, nothing happens. Then you play the game a little bit, and you go through like a ritual, or you witness this sacrificial... I'm sure any moment now. Any moment now. Okay. So you witness a sacrificial rite, and then after that, you're supposed to go and talk to the graves. That's what the guy told me anyway. Like, maybe I could have talked to them before and I didn't try, but the point is, like, that's not the only time that happened, right? It's just a good example of it. Where it's like, you've interacted with an object in the game, and then... Bella's not loud. Well, she's loud for me. But thank you, that's good. You interact with something in the game, and then the game expects you to know to go back to it later, and not like with an item or anything. It's not like, oh, go use the screwdriver on the thing you didn't do before. No, it's just go like push the thing or talk to it or look at it. And when you do that, something happens that didn't happen before when you did the exact same thing. And that can be really frustrating. And the second thing is that there are a lot of like leaps in logic that can feel a little bit frustrating. So once again, using Benny as an example. After you witness the ritual, right, you learn more about it. So you go into the chieftain's home, and you see there's a bag there, and then you try to interact with it. Benny's like, oh, I can't take this, the chieftain's here. So I'm like, huh. Can I like distract him? So you try things, right? You're like, oh, let me try giving him a fruit, or like maybe I have to like give the other guy a fruit, or give this guy a fruit. Maybe if I give the kid a fruit, he will like go distract him for me. Nothing works, right? So I try a bunch of things, nothing works, and I'm like, huh, maybe I just go sleep. So I go sleep, then the day advances, then you auto-fail, essentially. You just lose. I'm like, that's weird. And then, obviously, after trying a bit more, I just look up the answer. And the answer is to go into a separate... You interact with the bag, and then you go into a separate room where there's a TV screen, and you look at the screen, then the screen will say, I order you to go gather food. And then, when you go back to the chieftain's home, because you looked at the screen, which said that they were supposed to go gather food, he's not there anymore. Well, actually, he was there for me. So I had to do it again. But the point is, like, the logic there is that the people will do what the screen tells them to do. So when the screen tells them to go gather food, they will go gather the food. But the screen was saying that the entire time, and you're not warning people about that, right? So it's just, when you see the screen saying that, they go do the thing. But it would make more sense if I look at the screen, see that, and I go tell the chieftain or something, right? But yeah, that's just... there were a lot of moments like that where just like there's some kind of crazy leaps in logic, and there was the requirement to like go interact with something. And when we played what's the girl's name, Elizabeth or something, I don't remember her name. When we played as her, I took the chip out of the robot, and then nothing worked. I didn't do anything, and then at the end I was like, I don't know what to do here. I put the chip back into the robot, and it says nothing has changed. The game literally says nothing has changed. So like, okay, so I guess that doesn't work. I guess it doesn't work anymore. Cool. I go try a bunch of other things, can't find out. Google the answer. It's like, oh, you talk to the robot. Like, so that's like that's what I mean with a lot of this stuff being pretty frustrating. So, and I would say that seems like it goes outside of the design intent, right? The design seems to be that if you have to play it nobly, which makes sense. That's cool. I like that. But these just seem like bad game design choices, which a lot of the games back then had. It didn't literally have moon logic, so props for that, of course. But it still had like kind of crazy leaps of logic and frustrating game design. And I think the other thing which built into, I guess, an intentional game design is that it's cool that it's cool that the game has failure states. But the problem with a game like this is that if a failure state doesn't actually fail the game for you immediately, then you end up in a place where it's hard to know if you are stuck because you can't solve the puzzle, or if you're stuck because the game is hard locked. Well, that happened to me with Gorister, right? Like, as far as I understand, and this might be wrong, I might have been able to solve it, but when I googled answers for this, I was told to reset the game. So, as Gorister, if you choose the wrong dialogue options, you just lock yourself out of finishing the mission, as far as I understand. Meaning that you're just hard locked, but it's impossible to know if, because with Gorister, right, I spent like an hour solving a puzzle. So that means that you can spend like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours trying to like figure out like, what do I do here? Do I put this thing in that thing? Do I do this? Do I slash this thing? Do I open the act like this? Do I shoot this thing at that thing? Do I do it in this order? And then you can find out, oh, you were actually stuck. There was nothing you could have done to complete that. And that's a bit frustrating, so. But other than that, I mean, I had a decent time with the game. It's... The different characters are... The different characters are interesting. I guess it's a bit weird that... It feels a bit weird, like, one character is like a Nazi doctor and the other guy's just a guy that, like, abused his wife or something. Like, sure. I mean, that's fine, I guess. A little bit strange, but sure. Have you played this game for 8.7 hours? Let's just quickly see like what people on Steam are saying about the game. I mean, not a lot of people played this game, but too long didn't read, worth experiencing but not playing. The game is a respectable classic, but as an interactive experience, it does not hold well, and I wouldn't recommend to bother playing it yourself. You're much better off finding a video for it. Traditional point and click reaches of logic are combined with fail states that force you into replaying levels, almost railroading you into choosing a guide if you don't have the time for trial and error. I don't know why you wouldn't have the time for it, but the world is nice. The expansion to the original short story, which I would read or listen to, the original author's audiobook, available legit for free. First, before this, if you're going to play it anyways. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe I will listen to it and see what I think afterwards. I have no walkthrough and I must rage quit. This is not just unplayable in a walkthrough, it had me on the brink of insanity after reading the solutions. I'm not even mad after getting softlocked for the 15th time on a scenario anymore. I'm just sad in disbelief. You know those two items in your inventory, no indication, no indicating dialogue, no warning, no hints, but if you don't combine these two, you'll get a bad ending. Also, if you don't complete the puzzles in the exact order the developer had in mind, you're going to want to restart the entire scenario. That's for the reason if you explore the least bit before and have the needed items, you yourself will now face the Wrath of Am, what the Wrath of Am feels like. My empathy for these survivors stem not from the backstories of their torment, but because in their 100 years of torture, they had felt a fraction of the pain I had to endure trying to complete this game and get an ending. I was a huge fan of how Benny looked straight at the camera when I made him eat the fruits. He looked like he was about to charge through the screen. That one was scarier than the game, and I never You have to Benny afterwards. Okay. I mean, some salient points there, though. I finished or got a pretty far way in a lot of these without using a guide, and I would argue you could probably figure most of this stuff out without a guide. Like, I'm using a guide because ultimately I'm not, you know, I don't have the patience anymore to sit and like spend 5 hours going, click, click, click. Wait, let me restart the game. What if I didn't give the thing to the guy? Click, 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 click. What if I did? You know, I don't have the patience for that. But I think if you have the patience for a point-and-click game, and that's like your jam, I think you would have a big problem with this. And I think the leaps of logic were overall fine. I think the vast majority of them were fine. I think some of them are weird, but overall, I think they did pretty good. Logan's here. Logan is a cool boy. He likes to get butt to scratcher. Logan likes to get his butt to scratcher. Logan likes to get a butt to scratcher. Butt to scratcher. Butt to scratcher. Butter scratcher, butter scratcher, butter scratcher. You seem fine with it when you played Spud. True. Wait, but we used the guide for Spud at some points too, though, didn't we? Or was the thing in Spud that I was surprised I didn't need a guide? I don't remember. I think we used a guide on the island for sure. Butter scratcher, butter scratcher, butter scratcher, butter scratcher. I don't know if you've eaten 2 Logans. I'm not getting a kiss from you right now, but. Good. Alright, so, brief and somewhere around the Gorilla Island nonsense is when the guide came out, yeah. Here's the Enda ratings. 10 Flawless Masterpiece, not anyone should play this. Eight critics for playing, 7 good play if it sounds fun, 6 alright play if you like the genre, 5 average, 4 still functioning game, 3 barely playing, 2 everyone should avoid this. 1 no redeemable qualities. I think I think a 6 just makes sense for this. I don't feel like giving. I don't think it needs to be any higher than a 6. I think it's like you know. If the problem is I don't have a lot of point and click experience, especially from the era, right? But I think if you like point and click games from that era, then this is a perfect genre game, right? It's like play this, you'll probably enjoy it. If you're not necessarily into those types of games, they're probably there are probably better point and click games from the time, right? Like you could play like Monkey Island or whatever, or that Indiana Jones games that I watched Sheeny play. You know, those games are probably like they're probably a bit less obtuse, maybe a bit more story, maybe a bit more going for them. But ultimately, if this is your type of game, this might be really good. You know, some people probably rank this as like a 9.5 or something. And, you know, that makes sense to me, sure, I can see that. But basically, your rating descriptions is literally 6, yeah. It's like, you know, could it be slightly higher? Sure. Could it be like a 6.5? Maybe. I didn't really catch me like that, but a 6 on my scale is good. It's like, if you like this genre, play it. That's how simple it is. On Steam, it has a 8.8 though, so. Let's see. Streamed, yep. Played, yep. How did we get these in order? Isn't that kind of crazy? Because this list is just sorted by the X's, right? So we've spun the wheel and we've gotten out of like 200 games with X's, we've played 3 games from the spinny wheel that are it's like 7.4 Metacritic. Okay, we'll go for that. That makes more sense. So these are not sorted in an order where they should be next to each other, except for the X's, right? I've sorted them based on the X's, and somehow we've spun 3 games right next to each other. Is that crazy? What's the odds of that? Out of 200? Alright, let me exit this. Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. I think the game overall was I think it's an overall good game that I guess might be better if you know the original story, and it has some interesting mechanics in it that might be pretty fresh for the time. You know, like a modern remake of this could be pretty cool, maybe. But some of the frustrations were pretty frustrating, so I'll probably put it about there. And knowing about what the author kind of like the design that makes the game a bit better in my mind. But I'm gonna like judge it for what it is, not what the author wanted it to be. So, um, Alright, here's another one.